What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Hello, guys. Oh my gosh. So we are down 2 members today, but we have a very special guest in the house by the name of Carlet Seamster Wilson. She is absolutely amazing individual. She is a mother. She is a retired Marine veteran. She is a wife to a Marine veteran. She is a member of Zeta Phi Beta. She is the founder and owner of She Serves Too, soon to become a nonprofit organization, and many, many other things. This woman is absolutely phenomenal, and we are so honored to have her today because we are going to be talking about Memorial Day and what it means to her, what it means to her family, how her views of it has changed over the years. And in regards to that, in regards to the hot topic, I wanted to know, are you aware that Memorial Day was actually started by our fellow Brother Kings?
Really?
Hello, everyone.
Welcome, Carlet.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Most definitely. First and foremost, I want to thank you for your service on both fronts, as a military wife and as a veteran.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
You know, I think it's such an honor to have you on today and to celebrate just and recognize all the hard work being a military family, being a military wife, being really just supporting our country. I think it's just an amazing thing. So thank you for all your service and welcome tonight to FEM Talk.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm in great company tonight. So thank you. I'm honored.
Yes, we were excited. But you know what? You was tell me again what you said. Who created Memorial Day?
Black soldiers actually invented Memorial Day. For anybody that is unaware of that history, they took it upon themselves to take time to memorialize those that had been lost in battle. Mm-hmm. And I actually have a question for you, Carlet, because I have friends. I have friends that have passed in battle, and I have friends that have passed due to mental illness, PTSD, and I also consider them on Memorial Day too. Do you consider all of them to be the same? Because some people, they didn't die on the battlefield, they're not supposed to be memorialized on Memorial Day. I'm like, what?
You know what? My opinion is similar to yours. Again, I view it like we're memorializing whomever it is that passed away. And, growing up, as a child, you saw Memorial Day as the day of the cookout and what we were going to do. And we were going to barbecue and we were going to go to the graves of our loved ones. And they might not have even served, but our purpose for that day was to go clean graves and, tidy up the area and then come have a nice family cookout. That's the way we viewed it, especially in the South, especially when you're not connected to the military. Maybe you had some uncles and aunts who may have served, but it just wasn't your norm, And so it was cookout day, it was the day off work. And, like I say, we just memorialized whomever it was that was dead at the time. It wasn't like until joining the Marine Corps that I was like, oh, okay, well, there's a different meaning to the Memorial Day. Maybe it is for just the military people who had died, while serving. And but then I was like, that can't be it, because my father, he was Army. He died after coming home. And so why can't we honor him too? Brandon, like you're saying, why does it have to only be what we're told, that you must have died in battle? So I think that's a tricky subject, that's sticky, and we're going to let folk believe what they want to believe and feel however they want to feel. But for us, we still, as a military household, I think it's any military person who served can receive those honors. Now that I've actually served, and now that I've been around it over 20-something years with my husband before he retired, I kind of feel a little differently than it's the day to barbecue.
Right.
I agree. I think that's, I like the stance that both of you take. My father, he served many, many years ago in the military. And that's actually how we came into this country, because of his service at the time. So I I'm grateful and know he didn't. Thank God he didn't pass away in battle, but because he took time out of his life to serve for this country, I think we memorialize anybody who really served. And I think it's an honor. Everybody doesn't serve, and those that do serve, I think deserves that honor and that memory and that and our gratefulness for their service. So I agree with you guys. I totally totally agree with that. As another quick hot topic, I know I wasn't here last week. Thank you for all the prayers because I was sick with, the big C, COVID.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm, as you see, I'm healed and whole. Thank you for all the prayers out there. But yet last week was another horrible situation with the school shooting in Uvalde. And I know you probably talked about that last week, but one of the things that I was heartbroken, to say the least, over the situation, and I just wanted to kind of get your opinion in terms of where do we stand with it? It's once again the school shooting happened, and crickets. We still have no solution on how to avoid this one more time. And I think that we are at I would love to know that we are truly at a crossroads with our with those that are elected officials, the senators and the House. They're prepared to do what needs to be done, but we're still with a deadlock in the Senate, and I think that's a travesty at this point.
I agree. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree.
They're good with dead children as long as it's not their children. And for this to happen, twice in less than a decade, like
I feel like that too. I feel like they politicize too much. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get the politics out of it. Let's just talk about the human nature that the parents who got up that morning. I'm a mother of 3. They are 28, 31, and 35. But I could not imagine taking Victoria, Antonio, and Craig II to school when they were little humans and not getting them back at the end of the day because some weird old coward came into the school who did not belong there and shot my babies up. And I would just have to say, thank God that he met his maker, because he would have met his maker later, but that's just so unfortunate. And if they would just take politics out of it, let's just be human. It doesn't make sense. You cannot, and Lord forgive me, but you can't be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and go around here buying all these guns and think that that's good to go. That's it. Oh, my Second Amendment is my rights and all that. Last time I checked, you need a couple bullets to kill somebody. You don't need a AKA sawed-off military assault rifle to protect your home. You absolutely don't need all of that. Just get your pea shooter, boop, 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 maybe a rifle at the back door like we had growing up. That serves the purpose.
Right.
I don't understand.
Honestly, if you do have them type of rifles, you need to be properly trained on how to use them. Those rifles are... Honestly, I don't understand the point of those rifles. Yes, we do have them, but both of us also are trained in that. How to properly care for and use them if absolutely needed. But the fact that they call a rifle like that a hunting weapon, like I see very few people hunt with an AR-15.
With an AR-15, stop it. And the Second Amendment says nothing about an AR-15. We are not violating anybody's rights. And I think to even add insult to injury, when you poll most Americans, they agree with this. So this is not even something that us as we have so many polar opposites with so many different things going on. But the average American agrees with this one,
right?
That if you're 18 and you can't drink, you can't buy liquor, you can't
rent a car nowadays.
You can't get a good credit card. You can't do anything at 18, but you can buy AR-15. Something's wrong with that. And to not be able to do a background check on some of these young people that are buying. That to me is just out of control. But I don't want to bring that up. I know we have a lot to do with tonight's show, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there because I don't want it to die. It's more than a hot topic. It's something that we need to like really truly mobilize around. Being a school official and feeling that sense of helplessness. I have purchased and I have been part of all kinds of security measures in school.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see who's going to be held accountable for this because young men walking into the school should have been locked in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
He let off a couple of rounds at a couple of people standing across the street like 12 minutes before he ever walked into the school. He literally drove and crashed a truck before shooting at the people across the way.
Mm-hmm.
So police response was slow somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't enter the school for almost an hour knowing he was in there.
Mm-hmm.
So the ball was dropped by multiple individuals. And I want to know who's actually going to be held accountable here because so many things happened that should have never occurred.
Mm-hmm.
That allowed this to be more tragic than it had to be. Right. You got 19 children and their families, their friends, and others just affected by the fact that like this happened in their town.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you nobody in Uvalde, Texas ever thought that this could happen to them.
Not in their town. But that we didn't think that with all the towns that occurred, that mass shootings occurred in. If it wasn't in Las Vegas when that one happened, when it wasn't in Columbine and the one in Connecticut, none of these towns think it's going to happen to them. Mm-hmm. I used to fight a few board members, because they're quick to say this will never happen in our town. That's the point.
Right. They're right.
You don't know where it's going to happen, so you prepare and you do the best you can. But once again, I say all the preparation in the world. And most not just military, police officials will say if you have a crazy person with an AR-15, there's very little you can really do.
Because here's my thing, and this indirectly connects to the military because these are military type
assault weapons.
The only difference between what some of our military members use and what we use as civilians is the fact that it's not fully auto.
Right.
That's pretty much the only difference. Same ammunition, 224, 5.56, the
tactical gear. They dress in that tactical gear, and they get themselves all dolled up because they know folk gonna shoot back, so they want to have their vest on for protection and things of this nature, so they can go get a hamburger after they've been caught.
That's right.
And I hate to say this, things won't change until it happens to someone's family that's serving this country, and then it's going to be like, oh my God, we get, so I'm just.
But they're going to also realize you are one of hundreds of senators and congressmen, and they're going to be like that. We prayers and wishes and positive vibes, but no, this isn't going to change.
No. Listen, we thought there were going to be some change after that insurrection and riot. From January ago, and because that same day they were all scared and oh my God, and look at the world, and baby, now they all like, oh my God, they didn't mean to do it. That's not what it was, So
we were lied to.
Yeah.
Woo, we getting two hot topics now.
Hey, this might have started off on Memorial Day, and it is a very important topic. But as a veteran, how does something like January 6th strike you?
I can't say piss you off, right?
Yeah, you can.
I'll say it. Okay, well, it absolutely pisses you off because we all swear when we stand up there to serve and protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That means overseas, that means here in the States and stuff. And so for folk to want to overthrow their government because they don't like who maybe won an election, that's not good policy. And a lot of those people out there marching were veterans, were, maybe honorably discharged, dishonorably discharged, whatever it was. So it was just so unfortunate. Could you imagine if we did that with every president we did not like, or every future president that was voted in? Could you imagine the chaos? Bless you. Could you imagine the chaos in this country? So it was piss poor. It was poorly done, poorly organized. Yep. And their leader threw rocks and hid his hand. He basically like, come on, y'all, like a school bully, and get them all riled up on the playground. And then he kind of slips inside the crowd where now they can't find the bully.
And then act like he's not the one that did it. But on top of it, what really pisses me off is we peacefully protested near the Capitol. Mm-hmm. And you basically had half the city's
SWAT
law enforcement officials, law enforcement officials on the steps.
How did they have SWAT out? Steps,
get ready to lob tear gas and shoot into a crowd. But these people actually run up in the Capitol. Ain't nobody there to be found to do anything about it, supposedly. Mm-hmm. But this makes you take a closer look at the so-called law enforcement officials there in D.C. It's a good old boy system, but most people that's a conspiracy theory. Explain January 6th then. But that's just my opinion, right. Of course.
Yeah, nothing has changed except the year and the decade.
Okay.
Well, that and it's kind of like politically incorrect to actually conduct yourselves as you did in the 50s and 60s and beyond. But to those of us that aren't fooled by the political correctness of it all, the fake woke culture, as they call it. I was just
gonna say, stop calling us woke. We're not
woke. Woke and political correctness are two different things.
Exactly. This whole thing about woke.
We're picking out those of us that understand our history and understand how to maneuver in order to still get ahead, even though there are several obstacles and challenges in our way. It doesn't matter what you throw at us because we're still here.
Hey, listen, we just want the same rights that everybody else got. Listen, I just want to love my husband, love my children. I want to eat good, I want to lay good, and I want to drive good. That's all I want. I'm not asking for no special treatment. Don't, just give me the same opportunity that somebody else has. That's what we
want. I'll ring that bell for that one.
And before we go any further, I'd like to take some time to acknowledge those of you that are on here with us and sharing some love. So we got Lee Diamond in the house, Miss Latrice Spencer, Sister Queen, welcome.
Hey, cousin.
Of course, we got the brother King Craig in the house.
Spouse, hey, spouse.
We got Shannon McCullough in the house.
My girl, that's my good Judy.
Yes, Ebony, hey. And Prince Michael, of course, is in the building.
Nephew.
We got Miss Vicky. Hey, Miss Vicky.
That's our daughter. Hey, Vicky.
Yes. And let's see. Oh, and Miss Regina just joined us. Yes.
Welcome, Regina. Welcome.
So this is Tracy Mama. Tracy the Reset Coach Mama. So guys, we've got, well, I'm not even gonna say we got off topic. What I love about what we do here is that when the conversation is needed, we're gonna follow that line of discussion. Mm-hmm. Yes, because indirectly Memorial Day and our soldiers are involved in all this because you guys fight so hard on behalf of this country to come home and worry about your children going to school after that. That is in no reality justified. Whether it's black soldier, Hispanic soldier, Asian soldier, white soldier, it doesn't matter. Like, people that have served this country should not need to worry about their children going to school and coming home. They should not have to worry about being able to find different jobs. They should not have to worry about having access to medical care or substance abuse assistance when they come back and don't know quite how to deal with what they've been exposed to and had to do as soldiers for this country.
Yes, right.
Now, it is better now than it was when my father came back from war and when my husband's father came back, because when they came back, there was literally no real treatment for the folk from Vietnam, especially the Black folk, you know what I mean?
Right.
But now they do a little better. My husband was a part of Wounded Warrior when he returned. So they do a little more than they did before as far as the care. There's more mental health out there for our veterans. There are 800 numbers. Most of them have access to VA. And now if you can't get to a VA facility, they have put referrals in place that you can go to your local doctor. I think if you're like 50 miles away or something of that nature. So it's better than it was, but it's not where it needs to be, because we should never have our Marines and sailors and soldiers and Air Forcemen killing themselves because of lack of care. And so, and we face that every day. There's a 22 club, I think it is, and those are the people who've taken their lives. And we shouldn't have anybody taking their lives because they feel hopeless. And I can tell you as a social, my social worker, that we see that all the time. Mental health is real. So we have to figure that out. And like you say, there's no way you should serve overseas and then come back and be killed because you're at the movie theater, you went to church, you went to the grocery store to make groceries for your family. There's no reason to survive one and then lose your life for something so minute, And so, but they're definitely doing a better job with our healthcare now than before. So a little kudos for that part, but they have a long way to go.
I think that's sad that because I was reading a statistic recently, and more men have died, more people that serve, sorry for that, men and women, but more people have died by the hand of suicide than they have in the last war that we attended. That is unsettling. We should be appalled at such a statistic that you would go away and fight in war, come back, and you would then take your life because of mental illness. And you're right. We have to do more in this country to address that. I don't know why, as people come back from serving, that we don't give them, we give them job, we give them home, you should get all of those things, because you can afford it, and you should not have to fight or figure out anything after you come back. We should be able to give you schooling, whatever you want, but you should not be destitute. You should immediately get counseling. It should be part of the process that you go into counseling. You have a lifetime coach system where at any time you could come and get these services. At any time you can make a phone call. You should not have to fend for yourself after serving this country.
Amen. And you need some financial literacy too, so that when you come back, you know how to get acclimated back into the real world. Because the Army, I think, serves the longest overseas when they deploy. Imagine being away like 12, 15 months and you're coming back. Systems have changed. Things have changed. You have to learn life all over again. I know my husband, when we first got to North Carolina, he deployed in 2005 and 6, then 6 and 7. Then he came back again, and then he went overseas unaccompanied. It was supposed to be 2 years because they changed it from a year to 2. And then they added an extra 3 years. So my husband was gone overseas 3 years. He ended up going to Liberia while over there as well. And so when he came back to the household, he had to kind of get used to that again. And then he came back with some injuries and some different things. Oh, and he deployed to Desert Storm back in 90. And so, and that was a whole different beast back then, because they didn't nearly have what they have now. And so when you have that PTSD and you have those triggers, like we could be out, and if somebody bumped Craig or startled Craig, he was ready to fight. He was on defense. Like all of these things, they need these training. They need outlets. They need stuff to do. Excuse me. They want you to come back and like turn the switch off. You know what I mean? You can't do that.
That's not how that works, especially when you've been in for decades. Like in some of our Brother King and Sister Queen's circumstances, if you've been in for 20 plus years, that programming is going to take at least half that to redo.
To undo, or not even to undo. The military is known for their preparation. Y'all, when our men and women go to the military, the training, the onboarding that they do to prepare them to go is so intense. That's why we have one of the best armies in the world. That being said, why can't you take that same philosophy and put it to the back end so that as we transition, and one of the things that you made me think of also, my sister, is that as they even transition in, not just for the military person, but for the families. How do you now, as a family, transition your husband or your wife back into the fold? How does that now deal with you? You see all these, wonderful stories of dad or mom running home, and the child is there, hasn't seen mom or dad for months or maybe years, and they come back. But that also is a transition too. So what is the family getting in terms of family support groups as they come back home? How do you deal with your loved one that now, to your point, has those triggers? How do you deal with that? How do you adjust the home life so that everybody can, get acclimated or reacclimated into a new way of living? So I think we do such a good job on the front end preparing them for what, but we need to prepare them to come back into the family.
That is so true. Oh my God, listen, I need a bell to ding, because listen, Craig was so triggered that one night, thank you, honey, when he was sleeping, we were living on base, and our son at the time, Craig the second, always came to, to kiss us at night, good night, even as a teenager. That's what he did. And one day, Big Craig was sleeping, and little Craig laid over him to, just kiss him on his sleeping cheek. And Big Craig woke up like, and it was like, whoa. So we had to train our kids. If dad is already doing this, then don't do this. Don't startle dad. Don't do this. And even myself, certain things like normal, if he'd have made me mad and I want to click off safe, give him a little bit of what for, then you have to okay, go ahead and bite your tongue, because he escalates from 0 to 100. And sometimes the argument is not worth it. You know what I mean? And I remember telling him, I said, Craig, you have PTSD, for years. And then he, once I started pointing out different things that he was doing, it was like, oh my God, let me go get checked. And sure enough, diagnosed with it amongst other things. And it was like, okay, well, let's put him in some intense therapy. And he was sent to Wounded Warrior because of other issues. And oh my God, Wounded Warrior is an amazing program. They loved up on him. They gave him opportunities to go to his doctor's appointments all day long. They put him in the TBI clinic, and so he was able to get the brain stuff back on, and they allowed me to start going to some therapy sessions with him, so I can go ahead and tell it on him, because sometimes folk don't tell all the truth. So let me go ahead and tell everything he's doing at the house.
Let's talk a little bit more about Wounded Warriors, what it's about, how they actually contribute to helping our soldiers, as soon as we get back from this short commercial break. Back, y'all.
Yay!
So before we took off into our short commercial break, Carlet had brought up the Wounded Warriors Project. I've often heard about it, and I know a little bit about what they do myself. But for those of you that have always wondered what Wounded Warriors is all about, why it's a great cause to actually contribute to, and how you can also point people that might need their assistance into the right direction, let's have a little conversation about that. So, sis, have you guys always known about the Wounded Warriors Project, or was it introduced to you after Craig came back and needed that kind of help?
Mm-hmm.
Well, back in the 90s, when they really needed it, there was no Wounded Warrior. When we got here in 2004, I think they had just built the new state-of-the-art area on base for Wounded Warrior, built the TBI clinic. So it was relatively new. Again, we felt like we didn't need it because technically there was nothing wrong with Craig. Once Craig went to war again and again, and then he went overseas and things of that nature. And when he came home, again, he tried to function. But then Craig was starting to click off safe. Like I say, he would get angry at me for like tedious stuff. Like literally anything would set him off. We could be at a Marine Corps ball. Somebody would bend down beside Craig. He ready to fight. So it was a lot of this going on. Excuse me. And it was like, Craig, you got to go be seen. And, you know, of course, the doctors diagnosed him and they was like, well, Master Guns, like I said, he was the highest enlisted rank possible. It's probably better if we send you to go get some 24-hour care around the clock type of situation where you don't have to no longer be in command of everybody. Now you can just focus on you and your healing, because he was at the end of his career. He was more out than in at this point. And Wounded Warrior, it's not just for the Marines who are, I'm saying Marines, I'm sorry, because that's what we are, but for the military people who have lost a limb, have lost some sight. It's not just for you. It's for those who have that mental stuff going on. That
not all scars are visible.
That unseen stuff that you don't see, those TBIs, those headaches that drive them crazy, that makes them want to be in the 22 gang and the ones who want to kill themselves, you know. So it was put in place to assist and to make a difference. And so, I mean, oh my God, they treated him so well. They treated me well. They welcomed us in. They took care of all his needs, absolutely everything. And I remember them, we were talking about he needed a better mattress for his back. They even bought him like the Tempur-Pedic Bouger lay mattress. You know? Like they took care of everything, that he had needed at that moment. And so, and when you look around, you just saw all the people in the command who were no longer attached to their original command because they were in Wounded Warrior getting help. You know, the therapists, the psychiatrists, the doctors, they just had full access to everything. And so it makes a difference when that commercial comes on now. It's like, oh my God, they do need money, you know, and to see firsthand where the money goes makes a big difference. Like they have their own swimming pool in there where if you need to go do labs without fear of everybody around you, like it's just, oh my God, it's so amazing. And the TBI clinic is just, they take care of that brain 100%. I remember Craig getting Botox and injections in the brain and wearing these special earrings and this special gadget that would go on his face and stuff when he had a headache that was excruciating. And so just they just take great care of you. I wish they would have had this, like I say, back for Vietnam and Desert Storm and all the other wars. We probably would not have lost so many of our military people had we had a Wounded Warrior battalion in place.
All right.
Yeah. I want to touch on Craig's comment here. He said there are so many programs available, but the individual has to want help. It doesn't matter how much we want help for someone. They have to want the help. Just like you can't help an alcoholic or drug addict until they want help.
You know, I agree with that, but in a sense where, like I mentioned before, I think it's almost like a requirement. If you serve in the military, I think they need to offboard you, meaning you go through these programs. You shouldn't have to seek it out. It's like any job, you know, we do professional development to do our job. You know, we get trained on how to do the job, we even get trained. Okay, when you retire, this is what you're going to do. I think it's the same kind of thing that all of our military personnel need to have access to, not just access, it needs to be part of their program.
Mm-hmm.
Once they are coming out of the program, meaning once they are finished serving, these are the programs they should be sent to and sent to them. So even as they deploy back home, they should have a required amount of whatever therapies, mental and physical. They should go through some kind of, okay, let's see how your body's working out. Let's see how your brain, and when you mentioned, for those that may not understand, you said TBI, traumatic brain injury, so that, and so they could go through these kind of reviews and cycles that is required. I don't think it should be something they have to seek out. Like you just mentioned, Carlet, how you had to point that out to your husband. Thank God he listened to you. But for those families that are struggling, that are going through the things that they're going through, if they don't have to, why do they have to point it out to them? It should be something that, okay, now is your regularly scheduled appointment, and then through that appointment is brought to their attention.
Almost like when they return, it's a mandatory class or it's a mandatory examination, is what you're saying. So I get that, because a lot of marriages would be saved too in this military world if we had the resources in place. Because as a caregiver, as a spouse, as a veteran, it's hard on us when they come back and they're no longer the same person they was when they left us. So definitely.
Do you think, being a veteran yourself, that it was a little easier being able to not respond, but connect with Craig when he did have those issues? Do you think it was a little bit easier being a veteran, or would it be easier just being a wife that's just a typical military wife?
I think it helped me that, one, I was a veteran and I kind of knew the military. Two, I was in tune to Craig. Like I say, we've been together for so long. I know my husband. And so I know his good and his bad. I know what triggers him. I know what doesn't. And so that helped me. But definitely being a veteran and also being into social work, because I had just recently taken a PTSD class while he was gone. So it definitely helped me. And I started buying more books and learning more about it. And that's why I knew there was a problem with him. Like I say, I knew before he knew. And so, but I knew I wanted my marriage. I wanted to continue my marriage, but it could not have continued with the way things were going. Because like I say, he was clicking off safe, and it would just be like, dang, is he arguing about the moon being white? What do you think is green? So it would be.
Now, for those that are unfamiliar with the term, sis, what does click off safe mean?
I done got mad. I done got hot. He hot. He the gun, when you click it off safe, what you getting ready to do? Shoot. So he getting ready to shoot out his mouth. And so it was like, bruh, you too agitated. And then again, we thought about his dad and all he went through coming back from Vietnam and other family members. And it was like, okay, something is wrong with Craig, but it helped me because, like I say, I knew what he was doing at war. To not everything, because a lot of stuff Craig hid from me. And they do that. So you have to be aware that they will hide stuff from you because they, one, don't want to relive it. Two, don't think you can handle it. And three, is like their secret amongst one another when they're over there. And so to break that shell to share was almost next to impossible, And so, and like I said, as the caregiver, sometimes you just get irritated, you're frustrated, you're hurt, you're sad, you don't know how to feel. You think, oh, the homecoming, listen, I'm gonna plan us a date night. We gonna do this, we gonna do that. We gonna put some key sweat on and some very white. And when they return, they're like, I'm going to bed. And you just ruined all our plans for our reconciliation. But you have to figure out how to kind of postpone it, And so that was heavy. That was a hard lesson to learn the several times that he returned back from war, that he wasn't coming back like he left. He felt isolated in his own home. He felt like an outcast. He told us he felt like it was me and the children against him, because we had bonded. But I had to bond with my children because I was the only parent here. So yeah, it was difficult.
Now it's interesting that it's rare to come across soldiers that have actually been a part of Desert Storm, as well as the more modern wars with Afghanistan and Iraq. Mm-hmm. So what was his opinion based on his experience back in the 90s versus Afghanistan and Iraq as we knew it in the 2000s? Because when my father was in Desert Storm, him and his buddy said, we're going to be right back up in this joint.
Yeah,
because they didn't finish handling business.
Right, that was true too. They didn't finish what they started. But again, when he left the very first time, I was on Camp Pendleton. He was in 29 Palms. We was about 200 miles away because his unit had just transferred up. He literally called me on the phone. I'm pregnant with our oldest son, so that's why I didn't deploy to go fight. And he said, hey, we're leaving. That's all the advance notice he got. Hey, we're leaving. No time to bring me his stuff. No time to say goodbye. That's how he left. And we had snail mail. So I literally would write, hey, a big old 15-page letter. He would write me back 2 sentences, doing good. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I just wrote you a novel, And so when our son was born, I'm sitting there, my whole list and that, and he'll write back, looks good, we'll talk to you later type, we still have those letters. So these wars here, they had a little bit more options. They had computers, they had phones that they could use, and see, none of this was available back then. So it was a little bit easier this time as far as the commodities and the things that they had available for them than what they had the first time. So I think he did better this go around. But again, there were still issues. There were still some things that happened to him, but they were more prepared in the later wars.
Wow.
And I find that, you can see the evolution of the technology between the two experiences that he had back then and up until the 2000s when he finally came through everything and achieved his retirement status. The craziest part to me is again, you saw both versions of essentially the same war postponed by about a decade. And most people don't even think of it like that. But I'm like, wow. Yeah. I had no idea he was in Desert Storm and this one.
We lived through both. And again, it was chaotic. It was crazy. It was hard, but it was his job. It was what he signed up for. It was what he stood on those yellow footprints for to become a Marine. It's what he said he would do with his life. So we understood the mission. I understood the mission as his wife and as a fellow military Marine. I understood what the assignment was, as the young folks say now. But it didn't take away from the pain, the lonely nights, the third wheel when people going on dates and you're just like, thank you for inviting me, but no thank you. A lot of my friends with the last couple wars he went to, they was like, Carlet is depressed. She don't want to hang out with us. It wasn't that I was necessarily depressed.
As friends, okay, he's already out there. He wants to be home with his family. Yeah. And to know that his wife is not happy. Yeah. And not being sociable or happy-go-lucky like they think she should be. He doesn't need to hear that. He needs to focus on coming home.
Yeah. I never messed with his career. I remember when we were on recruiters duty. That's another stressful duty when you're in the military. If you don't produce those numbers to get those bodies into the military, they will relieve you and mess up your career. And so I remember on his early mornings and late, he would get up at dark 30. It could be 4 or 5 o'clock in the a.m. We wouldn't see him to midnight. And so I never bothered him. I never messed with his career. I took care of the children. I never call him for assistance. I just did what I had to do for our 3 children while he served those 3 years on recruiter's duty. And he, of course, aced it, did what he had to do in order to become successful. And like I say, reach the top rank possible. But I learned as the spouse that some things I just kept it to myself because I didn't want to add unnecessary family stress to what the stress the military was putting on because they were beating him down. They were literally like, when you're a recruiter, you make that quota of 3 bodies a month, 2 to 3 bodies a month, or you're gonna be put out. Or your career will take a hit when it comes time for promotion, things of that nature. So I was like, I'm not gonna buy the credit. I'm gonna whip their behind. I don't know if I can say that. I'm gonna take care of these children. I'm gonna love on them. I'm gonna give them everything they need, and we're gonna handle the business. So that's what we did. That's what we had to do. So it's just, military life is good for you. It's good. I wish most of the men could experience that discipline, but it takes the toll on your family. And a lot of people Craig and I started with on this journey that were married are now divorced. I think we're the only ones other than our friends, the Collins, and they married after us that are still married.
Right.
That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Because you get a lot of people that they married, like once you married, it's smooth sailing from there. And you don't continue, you don't understand. You got to continue to grow and evolve as the wife, as the husband. Like sometimes it's going to be times that one's growing faster than the other. And those are going to be challenging times, but you got to expect that in marriage. But
and just on that point with the marriage that you said, it sounds like it's even another level of marriage. Because, my husband and I, we'll be married this Thursday, 32 years.
Congratulations.
My sweetie. But I'm listening to what you said, Carlet, and there was such an understanding that you had for your husband, for what he was going through, and you from what you were saying, you took it to a different level as a military wife. I always talk about learning how to become a wife, but you have to know how to become a military wife,
right?
Which is a totally different level. And once again, I applaud you. I celebrate you, but I wish that there was more support for the family unit also, because I think that's thing that just has to be done, because that's sad to now you come home and from what you're saying, now you lost your family, now you lost that family unit, you lost your marriage. That's sad, and you wonder why so many things happen to military families and to those that serve, because now you're dealing with the loss of family, the loss of your way of life, the loss of children, in a sense where you're not with them every day anymore. So all of those things, I guess, come into play. And I would just wish that the military did a better job at giving y'all more support for this.
And also, even with the spouse, whether it be male or female, Marine Corps, we moved every 3 years. So guess what I had to do with my career? I had to start over. Because once I got out, I'm medically honorably discharged due to disabled veteran medically. So every time we moved to a different location, I had to go get a new job. I don't have tenure anywhere because I have to start over. They have to think about this for the spouses. Like, there has to be a way, and there should have been a fund for us back in the day where we could have been paying into a retirement fund. Like, I have retirement, but I have, as long as I live, I get a check from the military. But they should have had something for the average person who didn't serve, the average spouse, to pay into separate from her spouse, so that she could have something once they retire. Because if you didn't serve, or you didn't have you didn't stay while he moved around, you don't have anything. When he dies, if you didn't pay into that, you don't get anything.
Wow.
And so that's so unfair. That is absolutely unfair. So my husband's like, hey, I'm going to get you a Roth IRA, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that for you. But again, I get a monthly check as long as I'm breathing. But the ones who don't, and it's, you follow them, you support them, you're their biggest cheerleader, and then you have nothing to show after 20 years for yourself.
Right.
Wow.
Now, I wanted to put a pin in that for just a moment so we can have another very short commercial break. But when we get back, Carlet, I would love for you to share with us what She Serves 2 is all about.
Okay.
All right. We'll be right back, y'all. And we are back. So, guys, we have had an amazing episode, starting off with just Memorial Day, what it means to Sister Queen Carlet, because she and her husband are both retired veterans. They are a military family. They have a son that serves in the military. My father's retired military. Mimi's father's retired military. So, acknowledging Memorial Day and actually thanking everyone that has given their lives, whether they can hear me or not right now. I pray that they can. I'm truly appreciative of all those that have fought, regardless of how this country tends to treat us. It's crazy that every single war this country has ever had, our brethren have been involved.
Everyone.
So, exactly. But every single war, even as bad as some of us have been treated over the decades, millennia, years, whatever you want to call it. But that's neither here nor there. We definitely want to take time to thank our fallen soldiers and those families that stand there with us even after losing loved ones during battle due to suicide or just crazy accidents and things that happen once they make it back stateside from our international wars. But sis, you have a nonprofit that you're currently building by the name of She Serves 2. What is She Serves 2 and what is your mission in She Serves 2?
So let me just give you a quick background. When we were stationed in Arkansas, there was a need for the spouses to get together. So once a month, and some of my good Judies would kind of jump on, once a month, I was like, we're going to do ladies' night. We are going to get a babysitter, the spouses or whomever we need to get, and we're going to just go out and enjoy ourselves. We're going to go to the movies together. We're going to go eat together. We're going to go shopping together. So we did that once a month. When I got here to North Carolina, again, there was really no connection with anybody. So back in 2019, I was talking to Lachey Cavers, my business partner. She's a retired Marine. She's Brandy. Lachey, Brandy, and I met the same time through another person. And so I was telling Lachey, I said, hey, I want to bring that here to North Carolina. I want to socialize because we transition so much that your friends you had before, they're gone now. You need a safe space. And so the mission was, let's bring together the spouse and the female veteran, because there's always a group for the spouse. And then there's always a group for the veterans, but there's never a safe space for the females to come together as one. Like, we're not each other's enemy. And a matter of fact, I'm both. I'm a spouse and I'm a veteran. So I can sit under either umbrella. So why not include each other and have each other's back? And so that's how it was birthed, and our logo shows that I have my sister's back. You know, that again, the spouse and the veteran, we can be one. And so we just had events, and prior to COVID, we were running, full steam ahead, and we provided resources. We provided, lunch and learns. We want to teach you how to manage money. We want to teach you how to find a job. We want to teach you how to cohabitate with your spouse while you're in the military. We want to teach you how to just learn this military journey and be successful with it. And so that's kind of how it was birthed. And then I was like, well, Lachey retired, so she can bring all kind of stuff to the table that I can't bring because she's been to the wars and done the things that I didn't do. She did recruiter's duty. I served recruiter's duty as a spouse, but she was an actual recruiter. So that's kind of how it was birthed. And the reason why we're taking it to a 501c now is because a lot of our partners are like, hey, we want to be able to do more, and we want to be able to do more in the community. And we felt like we wanted to go ahead and dissolve the LLC and come back as a 501. It would be more beneficial for the community. So that's kind of where we're at now as far as that goes. But the ultimate goal is to take care of our females, spouses, and our female veterans, because oftentimes we're forgotten. Let me give you a quick example before we go. Craig and I were in Dallas a few years ago on a business trip. And so we were in the hotel elevator. And so as you can see, I always wear my EGA, Eagle Globe and Anchor, Marine Corps emblem. I always have it on unless I have my pearls on, my with Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I always have, this piece of arm, this neck candy. And so we were in the elevator and the gentleman got in and he saw my necklace and he immediately turned to Craig. Thank you for your service, sir. Shook Craig's hand and everything. And Craig said, she served too. And that's kind of how I was birthed. So then he kind of thanked me after the fact. But Craig is always telling folk, she served too. My wife, the other females. So we that shouldn't even be a question that females serve.
That's right.
We shouldn't even have to make you know that we serve. You see women in the military. This is not the 40s where we was only there to dance around, and twerk and shake and to fulfill their needs. We're serving. We're standing beside them. We're carrying our rifle, our packs, our boots. We're laced up. But you only see us as a tool to service you, the men folk from back in the day. So that's kind of how it was birthed. And then again, in my opinion, the spouse serves too. We're so underappreciated. We're so left behind. We serve it. Listen, if he gone, we serve in the house. When he moves, we move. When the kids are doing this, that, and the third, we're doing it. But they don't like to give us the credit that we're serving.
Girl,
that's important. And I'm glad you bring that up because we're going to have another future episode about that.
Yeah.
I have a lot of my sister queens that are in the military, retired military, or married to military members that don't get the acknowledgement that they deserve because they're making sacrifices too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carlet, thank you so much for sharing time with us tonight. Because I know you could have been anywhere doing anything, but instead you shared some time with us tonight. So we definitely appreciate you. We definitely want to welcome you back to a future episode to expand on this conversation. Thank you, everyone who tuned in this fine evening. And we look forward to coming back to y'all next week talking about Black love. We're going to have several of our wonderful couples in the house, and y'all might even get a peek at Mr. Johnson next week. Come
on, Maurice.
Right? So with that, y'all, we will see you next go around. We love you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Nice to meet you,
absolute
Melissa.
Pleasure.
Thank you. You guys be blessed tonight. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.